Who doesn't love a great scrunchie? I remember making these as a kid, and they're back in style, so I'm making more. Not just for me, but for my kids too. So let's get to making some scrunchies. Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie and welcome to my channel. Scrunchies are back in style and they're super easy to make. All you need is a scrap piece of fabric and a little bit of elastic. You can either sew them by hand or use a sewing machine. Today I'm going to be using my sewing machine, but it's just as easy to make them by hand. On my last trip to my local sewing store, I found this amazing little pack of fat quarters with llamas on them, and my kids are so into llamas right now that I thought it would be the perfect set for them. So let's get to making these great scrunchies. And we're going to cut it to 5 inches wide. I'm going to use the entire width of the fabric. So it's approximately 21.5 inches wide. So I'm going to fold it right sides together. And then give it a quick pin. We're going to take it over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew down the open side with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So we've gotten this sewn up. Now what we're going to want to do is tuck this side in. Doesn't have to be pretty, so that we can match our outside piece right sides together. Now I like to do this starting from my seam, just so that I end up having a seam that matches up. So we're creating sort of like a little tube. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it to the sewing machine. We're going to sew across here, starting a little ways down from your edge because you don't want to catch your fold. And once we get to about, say, here, we're going to pause and we're going to pull this through the bottom, and then we're going to keep sewing and then pull it through again and then keep sewing. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So at this point you've got the whole thing sewn and you've left a little hole for turning. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into this hole And we're going to reach for the other half of our scrunchie. And we're going to pull it through. So now we have a big long tube that is completely sealed other than the hole that we have turned through. You're then going to need a piece of either 1/4 inch or 3/8 elastic cut to about 7 inches long. So what I like to do is attach one end to the outside of my hole. So that when I'm feeding this other end through, I don't lose the other end. So you're just going to put it into the hole and at this point you can, while holding this one that you were fishing through, untie your first one from the outside, because we're going to have to sew these together. Now some patterns tell you to tie them in knots. I prefer a sewn seam just because I know it's a little bit stronger than a double knot and it won't let go. So we're going to overlap them 1/2 inch or so. And then I just use a straight pin, go all the way through, and then come back. So that's holding it temporarily. We'll take it over to the sewing machine and just do a zigzag stitch across there. I've gone back and forth a number of times to make sure that it was nice and snug. And you're just going to let it go into the scrunchie. So what I'm going to do now is just flatten out my seam and give it another pin, because I am going to sew this opening shut. Now you have the choice to sew it by hand, but I'm going to do it with the machine. So I'm going to go extremely close to the edge, 1/8 of an inch or less, and get that sewn shut. And there you have it, one completed scrunchie. I hope you've enjoyed sewing with me today. Making these scrunchies together has been super fun. Don't forget, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you've got any questions or comments, please don't be shy to leave them in the comments section below. Or if you have any ideas on videos that you want to see that you haven't seen yet, I'll make sure to include in the description below where you can get your hardware, along with a quick reference guide for sizing. See you in the next video, and thanks for watching.